Hey, what's up, Tay? What's going on? Welcome, everybody, to the Friday Build Show. I'm your host, Ben Estrino, here at the Empower Gaming Studio, building yet another awesome PC. This one's going out to a local customer. His name's Mike. I'm finally doing a build. I'm sorry. The last couple days got really crazy. So we are doing the build today, live on stream, and I should have this also ready for pickup in a little bit here after we get it built. There's obviously some work I still have to do after we get it built, but should have it ready to go nonetheless later today. So, what are we building today? Well, that's a big question. You can see it here on the screen. Or I could just run through the list. So today we're going to be building with an Intel Core i9, which is a 12900K. Has a total of 16 cores, 24 threads. Max boost of 5.2 gigahertz on a Z690A Wi-Fi by MSI, which is a part of their Pro series. We're going to be cooling that CPU with a Lian Li Galahad 2. Not 1, 2, Galahad 2, Trinity Performance 360 millimeter AIO. This cooler is really nice because it's got a thicker radiator and also slightly bigger fans, which gives it more real estate to cool the liquid as it passes through the radiator. Just gives it more real estate for the airflow on the radiator, which is really nice. And it does actually show, or there's, you know, it does perform better than your standard 360 millimeter AIO. It's just a thicker rad, slightly wider, and then it also has the bigger fans on it, slightly thicker fans, so it moves more airflow through the radiator quicker. Cool, huh? Well, outside of that, we're going to have 32 gigabytes of DDR5 RAM, and that's by G-Skill. This is the Ripjaw's S5. So there's two 16 gigabyte sticks. It's DDR5 at 6,000 megahertz. We also have a LGA 1700 contact frame for the CPU, which is going to help with making sure that we get the maximum contact with the cooler to the CPU. And then the graphics card is an RTX 4070Ti by MSI. This is the Ventus 3X, so it's going to look pretty badass and go really well with the MSI motherboard that we already have in here. And then we have an MSI MPG A850G power supply, which has a PCIe 5.0 cable that we want for the graphics card because we don't really want to use that adapter. We want to eliminate that, and the way you do that is with this 850 watt or a power supply that has PCIe 5.0, which is a direct connection from the power supply to the video card. One single cable, no adapters, no funny business there. And then we're going to be putting all of this into a Lian Li LandCool 216, and this is which would be the RGB version, which means the 160 millimeter fans on the front, the two, are addressable RGB, and it also includes a 140 millimeter fan on the rear, already there, ready to go, and they're PWM. All the fans are PWM, and the case itself is large enough to house these parts and also upgrades in the future if you wanted to add more, as just as an example, more storage or more. Maybe he wants a bigger graphics card, maybe he wants to put the card vertical. There's so many different things he could do with this case later in the future if he wanted to. And also it houses the 360 millimeter AIO on the top, which, as you know, we're really big fans of because we want to expel that CPU heat directly out of the case. So we really like that. That design is what we always target. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and switch down to our top-down view, and let's go ahead and get started with the build. Does anybody have any questions on the parts, the build? Holy crap, I'm in the wrong one. But hey, this is cool. This is the live discussion zone. So if we wanted to talk, we could sit here and talk, and you could check out my really cool room in the background, which is actually 100% real, authentic. I promise. No, I'm just kidding. But it is kind of cool. Yeah. I am going to be doing some pretty cool stuff here in the future with the streaming a specific game, which includes cool stuff like this. All right, so moving on. Now that I got our view right. Okay, so this is our top-down view, and we're gonna be starting out with the motherboard, the CPU, the RAM, and the SSD, which is right here. I didn't talk about that, but that's a 2 terabyte M.2 Gen 4 by Inland Performance, which is Micro Center's brand. So we're not going to need the power supply or the cooler or graphics card or the case, for that matter. Right off the rip, we're going to need the motherboard, the RAM, the storage, the CPU. And that's what we're starting with. And I might need some tools. Why are my tools not here? So I hope everybody is having a fantastic Friday. Ramping up for the weekend. This is actually a Battlefield remix, which, you know, I love Battlefield. Like the original. I love the original Battlefield. 1942, I think it was. Holy smokes, I love that game. Back when it was out. Or new. It was such an exciting game. All right. Such an exciting game. All right, so the MSI Z690A Pro Series pretty much has every feature you'll ever use on this PC. It's really not lacking anything. It's a great board. 600 series, so we got some really nice VRMs for this CPU, which we're going with an i9 12900K. Well-rounded system. We're going to drop the CPU in, and then we're going to remove the frame here and drop our contact frame that we have from Thermalright in place. And I highly recommend you do this if you're working with an LGA 1700 CPU, because you do get a little bit better performance on the CPU as it creates better contact for the CPU. And I know I talk about that a lot, but I'm going to keep driving that until everybody's doing it. Just one of those things. It's like, if you aren't doing it, first, I mean, this thing's like 10 bucks on Amazon. It's worth every cent. So we drop the CPU into the socket nicely and gently, and then we're going to remove the stock contact frame or socket frame thing, mechanism, whatever you want to call it. I don't know the correct terminology for this thing anymore. But we're going to remove this by removing the 4 screws, and then we're going to drop our new metal contact frame, which is the new meta, by the way, for CPU cooling, at least with the LGA 1700. Right over the CPU like so. And then we're going to reuse the 4 screws that we just removed to screw the contact frame back to the socket, or secure it. So I just dropped all 4 screws in, and now I'm just going to tighten it up little by each corner. And there we go. Contact frame installed, CPU secured. Now we're going to drop this in a package and send it along with the PC, because if we ever send this motherboard back, we will need these components as well as the tool to remove it. So that's included with the PC. If you ever, for some reason, needed to remove the CPU, maybe you wanted to upgrade to 13th or 14th gen. Okay, so let's move on to the RAM. We got 32 gigabytes of DDR5, 6000 megahertz. That was interesting. Wonder if you guys actually heard that on the stream. Alright, and then our 2 terabyte M.2 NVMe SSD by Inland Performance. The packaging is a big pain in the ass, so we just myrtlate it by cutting it in half to get to our SSD. And then we'll remove our heat spreader for the SSD. And then we'll socket our 2 terabyte Gen 4 SSD. Remove the little protector for the heat pad, thermal pad. Heat pad, thermal pad. And then we'll secure. Oops. Hold on. We'll secure the heat spreader on top of the SSD with the 2 screws that we removed. Looks nice. I'll bring mine over on Monday or Tuesday. Awesome. Wait, what are we doing with it again? I'm gonna get the cooler out, kind of out. Well, I guess we're gonna unbox it because I want to get the mounting hardware and put that on the motherboard before we put that in the motherboard in the case. This guy. But we may as well get the rest of this out since we're here at this point. So here's our back plate for the cooler. So we're going to throw it on the back of the motherboard here. teeth out. But it wanted to fight me. Remove all the panelings that we need to remove so we can get access to all the right places. And we are ready to throw this board in here. All our studs are here, right where we need them. So we're ready to drop this board in. And then it's just 9 screws here. And that's what secures the motherboard to the case. All right, so we're gonna grab the power supply really quick and get the EPS cables installed. It's a modular power supply. But we're gonna do that because we don't want to get that cooler in there and then make it impossible for us to get the cables installed. Or make it more difficult anyway. So here's our two EPS cables that we need. We'll feed it through the back hole over to the EPS connection here real quick. So that way they're installed and plugged in and we don't have to deal with it after we get the cooler installed. Saves you a ton of time, and then you don't get all frustrated because you're like, oh, I can't reach it, and then you have to pull the cooler out. It's always a good idea to try to do these first before you put an AIO on the top of the PC. But then you can also reposition the cables if you need to, which I don't think we will with this cooler in this case. But just giving you an example, if you have a different case, it's always a good idea to sometimes get some of these cables on the top sorted out before you get to put that cooler in. So our 24 pin, I just went ahead and did that too, may as well. Alright, and then last, I believe we have we had a connection coming off this cooler we had to plug in. So let's take a look. So we got our PWM connection, which is going to go directly to the CPU header, CPU fan header. Okay, so that's fine. And then we have our pump. We got this RGB connection, I think. That's precisely what it is. Perfect. There. I guess we're just ready to throw this in there and we'll deal with it when we get it in. Because it's all attached to the cooler as it is. No, don't fight me, mate. Just go in the hole, would ya? You wee little bugger. Alright. There we go. I think we got it. Almost. And you could take this frame out and save yourself a little bit of a hassle here, but I'm trying to save myself a couple minutes by not taking the frame out, installing the cooler to the frame, and then putting the frame back on. I'm gonna be that guy. And it just makes it easier for you to install the radiator. But I mean, I've done it a million times, so I think I can handle it. We're gonna peel that peel off of the copper block, which is going onto the CPU. And then we're gonna get our thermal paste put on the cooler, or on the CPU here. This is the Noctua I'm just trying to get rid of that strain. It's kind of like an X pattern. But this is the Noctua NTH2. And then we'll hold our cables up as we go to mount this cooler. I get to stare at my lovely neck for just a moment as I get this started. Then we'll go around and tighten them as evenly as possible. The only thing I don't like about these Performance Trinity AIOs by Lian Li is that there's a shit ton of cables that come off this block, which is on the inside of the case. I wish they would limit it to like one cable to the back and then split it off where it needs to be split off. It would just look so much cleaner that way. But instead we have, you know, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 cables coming off this block that need to all go to the back and then back to the front and this and that. Just looks a little clunky. I mean, we'll clean it up and make it look nice, but I mean, look at all that. 4 cables total. 4 cables total that come off this thing. And then it's, I think Lian Li could do better than that. I feel like they could improve that. Alright, so now we just gotta feed these cables to the back of the PC and fight the lovely radiator that's now in there. And we'll kind of get this cleaned up a little bit here after we get everything plugged in. Oh. We do have one over here that we need to get installed or get plugged into the CPU header, which is right here. So we got to go back through. So strange. To go from and then back and then to. And then I need a little bit more light. How about that? A little bit more light would help. Ow. The RGB header for the addressable RGB. Then we have a cable that goes all the way down. We got a, sorry. Shoot. Got a PWM connection for the pump, which goes back to the front. And then we gotta get that plugged in again. Not again, but get it plugged in. There we are. So now all of our connections on the front, on the top of the board are pretty much done. So that's awesome. Just need to zip tie it a little bit. Clean it up with a couple of zip ties. And there we go. Nice and clean. I'll give you a nice close-up of that. So we just cleaned all this up and got all of that plugged in. Nice and clean. Okay, so moving on. Get the rest of the connections on the board completed, and then we can start putting that graphics card in, putting power supply in, doing a little bit of quick cable management on the backside, and firing this bad boy up. Pretty much all we have left. Not a whole lot left. As long as you do it with forward thinking, it could be a pretty quick build. Pretty sure the USB 3 and USB-C go up here, if I'm not mistaken. Both of them. And they do. Nice. Did a really good job. Front panel and our HD audio. Front panel HD audio. And what else is there? I mean, I guess that's it. I thought we had a sync cable here. Aha, we do. We got a PWM fan connection and an RGB connection. And I'm not sure where those go. RGB here. The PWM down there. But this single cable actually needs to run the other direction. I don't know if it's going to work or not. We'll see. Let's flip it over and try it. Front panel power button. I think we can sneak this through here. We're nice and neat about it. PWM fan. And then the HD audio. Front panel HD audio. Hey, nice shoulder, Ben. And we've got our USB 3 and USB-C here that we have to deal with real quick. Go. All of our connections are done on this side. Do a quick Velcro. All right, I think we're ready for the power supply.
What about giving you a heart attack?
Hi. Roof would have been on stream.
Yeah.
That would have been funny.
Yeah. I think you would love that.
Huh?
But I think I would have loved that, except, you know, if you had a heart attack, you might not finish it quick.
Yeah, I need to have this done today, too. Almost done.
Nice.
We're actually almost done. Give me a minute, I'll say hi. I'm almost done with the build. I need like 5 more minutes, or 10 more minutes. I'll be done here in a minute. I'll be done in a minute.
Yeah.
What are you guys gonna do for dinner since Mom's not home?
I don't.
Nice. Okay, so now cable management looks great. We can get this graphics card installed. And then fire it up.
You're jumping out to the student? Or is it like one?
Okay. Let's put our top panel and our back panel back on. And then we'll fire this bad boy up. Clean up our workspace a little bit. And then let's get it plugged in. And let's power it on. See if I built it right. All right, let's get you that side view. All right, who's ready to see this thing powered on? A 3, a 2, a 1, 2, 3. Hey, look, it's another badass PC. And it's posted. Guys, I just want to throw this out there. We just built this in 57 minutes. Built from start to build, even adding on the extra like 5 to 10 minutes of talking about the parts in the very beginning. About probably 5 minutes. We built this within 57 minutes, under an hour. That's impressive. And it posts. So that's a bonus, you know. You can build it really quick and then have it not post, but that doesn't count. So, next up, we need to get the Windows installed. We are going Windows 10 Pro. It seems to be a common theme. Windows 10 Pro seems to be a very common theme for these golf simulator setups that people are building. So I'm assuming the software requires Windows 10. That's what would make most sense. But this thing is super sweet looking with a nice accent of RGB. Gives it a nice look with the glass panel. So you can see a little bit on the inside of what's going on in here between the graphics card, the MSI graphics card, and the MSI motherboard. With the Leon Lee case and the Leon Lee cooler. All super fantastic looking components. It's a slick looking build. Wish I had more light in there. But I mean, it's slick. Like, not too much RGB is beautiful. Just a little hint of it, you know? Gives it some flair. Like, it's a badass PC already, regardless if there is RGB or not. But a little bit of RGB kind of adds some flavor to it. Alright, so we just got to go through the Windows installation, do the drivers, some updates, some testing, tuning, and then it should be ready to be picked up here probably in the next hour or so. So I'm going to slam through that, probably jump off stream to get this done. And thank you everybody for joining us. We will have another stream, 2 of them actually, 2 more streams coming up. One is a super custom stream of a custom paint job, custom glass etching, custom backplate, super cool looking build that I'm looking forward to putting together finally after all the customizations that we did on Monday. So I hope everybody can tune in on Monday afternoon Eastern time. I think it's going to be 3 p.m. Eastern time is when we're going live for that build. Super excited for that. And then we also have an upgrade build, or a system upgrade that we're going to be doing for another PC that's here behind me. But we have a new case and some new cooling and new fans that we're putting all into this PC because we're having some issues with the old one. And then the owner just wanted to go all out at this point just to make an awesome PC awesome, even more awesome. It was already awesome, just now it's more awesome. So overall, super excited for that upgrade as well. And stay tuned for those streams. I think that stream's going to be on Tuesday or Wednesday currently. So stay tuned, and I'll see you guys on the next stream. Thank you all for joining us. Happy Friday. Have a good weekend. Let me know if you know anybody that's looking for a PC. I'll build it. All right, guys. Have a good weekend.